What's cooking, boys and girls? Hiya, and welcome to Scotland, the country of warm people and cold weather. I actually had to wait a couple of days for it to stop raining in order to film this video. So we're in Dundee, a city with a population of about 150,000.
You're wrong.
Which, wrong?
146.
146, okay. And I was going to say that, that during the Victorian era, that is the reign of Queen Victoria, the city thrived due to three industries: jute, jam, and journalism. Let's go on a journey through Dundee's history of its three main industries, jute, jam, and journalism, and meet some friendly Dundonians along the way. But first, we're in the UK, so let's go to a bloody pub. And not just any pub. Let's go to Spoons, Weatherspoons. So Weatherspoons is a pub that any Brit watching will probably know. Right in front of me we have the Dundee Weatherspoons, and it's a chain of pubs all over the UK and Ireland. It's almost 12 AM and the bar is already full, so we have to wait in line to order. So what makes Weatherspoons so great, besides the fact that it's cheap and you can get a nice meal for a fiver, £5 or so, is the fact that they're known to have built their branches in unlikely places that were banks. Okay. I'd like a Scottish breakfast, please.
Breakfast stops at 11:30.
Huh?
Breakfast stops at 11:30.
Oh, okay.
An all-day brunch though.
You do brunch?
All-day brunch, yeah.
What is the brunch?
All-day brunch is bacon, egg, beans and chips.
Okay.
Your name yet?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Coffee?
Tip number?
I don't know.
I need to tip number, please, buddy.
Okay. They're gonna come to my table, or?
And the food will come out to your table.
Okay, thanks,
Okay,
mate. Yeah.
cheers. Hiya.
So what's cool about Weatherspoons is that many of these bars were built in unlikely places that used to be cinemas and banks, and this one, in fact, was a Victorian era counting house, the one that we're sat in right now. Look at the ceilings. Hi, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, so this is brunch. I was hoping to have a Scottish breakfast so I could tell you a story about it, but I came a bit too late. Hard to get out of bed in this weather. Here's what we got. Eggs, bacon, chips, and beans, and sausage. This meal cost us about £8. But what's great about Weatherspoons, as I said, you can get a full Scottish breakfast for under £5. And cheap drinks too. Thank you. The way to the bathroom here is paved by the history of Dundee. Here we have pictures of I probably shouldn't touch that, but pictures of how the city used to look. Reform Street, the Old Pound, the Cowgate. Here we have the J aspect of Dundee, the journalism, but we'll get more into that later. They have a couple of DC Thompson's comics over there, and here we have a gentleman's club from the 19th century. I'm going to go to the gentleman's bathroom right now, get out of here and tell you more about the jute industry. Another thing in Weatherspoons is that you can actually gamble here. We've got different machines. This one over there, two over there. And you have to look under, you have to not be offended if people ask you for proof of age when you look under 25. So let's continue on our journey through the 3 J's of Dundee. The first one being jute. And conveniently over here we have Scotland's Jute Museum at Verdun Works. So what is jute? What is jute? It's a strong fiber that stems from 2 Asian plants, in fact. But how did Dundee come to be a place where they produce the most jute in the world? Well, let's go and ask somebody that actually knows. Verdun Works, made in Dundee, 1 mill, many stories. I believe there were about 500 people working inside this mill. And let's go and, as they say, discover the industry which shaped the city. So here it is, Verdun Works warehouse number 1. Now let's find out where I can walk in. Hello. Can I buy a ticket here for the museum?
Of course you can, yeah. Do you have a car in the car park?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Came on foot.
Oh, lovely. Are you a student?
No.
Okay, and is it just for here, or would you like a joint ticket with Discovery, our sister museum?
Which museum is that?
So, have you been in the town next to the V&A? It's the big ship at the waterfront.
Well, I'd like to do that on another day, I suppose.
Well, you get annual passes, so how long? Are you living here or are you on holiday?
I'll be here until the 8th, so...
Would you like a joint ticket? It's cheaper to buy
For sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So do I get somebody to ask questions in the museum, or am I by myself?
So I'll pass you, once we process everything, I'll pass you on to Alison. She'll give you a little introduction.
Oh, lovely.
Is that
Thanks.
okay?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Hi there,
Hello.
John. Can you just put my...
Thank you very much, that's lovely. Now, I can never remember registration.
Everybody forgets that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And are you here on holiday?
Kind of, yeah.
Where are you from?
Israel.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to Dundee.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm just visiting a friend who's studying here.
Oh, that is lovely. How long did it take you to get here? Because it's the other side of the world, isn't it?
Oh, I was already in Italy.
Okay.
Yeah, I travel around and I make little videos.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that is lovely.
So yeah, I thought I'd show the world the 3 industries that made Dundee thrive during the Victorian era.
Wow.
So
Thank you so much for that.
no,
Could I trouble you
thanks for
just-
having me here.
No, thank you. Would you mind signing that, please?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's Alison, right?
Alison, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, did you say you're visiting from Israel? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I can do is just give you a bit of background information and just explain the way to go round
Okay.
and then set you off on your way.
You don't mind if I have a camera? Do you?
No, you're allowed to take as many pictures as you like. That's
Okay.
absolutely fine. Yeah, just so the history here started in 1833 when they built this part here, which is the high mill, but it was originally built for flax spinning. They brought flax in from the Baltic states.
Flax?
Flax. So it's a different type of plant from jute. It's a much smaller plant, but it's like fibres you can spin into yarn and weave into linen.
Okay.
They made a coarse linen out of it they used for making sacks and tarpaulins in those days. It grows in kind of temperate climates. You can grow it in Britain, Ireland, but the stuff that they brought here was imported from the Baltic states. Sorry, just distracted by the amount of birds flying
Wow.
overhead.
Yeah.
Creepy. So they did this throughout the 1830s, but it became less economical. There was tax changes, there was supply problems due to war in the Baltic states, but then also there was a fire in the mill here as well, and the mill burnt down. But during this time, Dundonians had realised that flax wasn't going to be a product for the future, so they'd started looking at jute.
So, isn't jute like an Asian plant?
Absolutely. India, Bangladesh area, it needs warm, moist, kind of tropical conditions to grow, but also it's a really, really different plant to flax. Flax is quite a low-growing plant, but jute grows to about 3 metres tall, and because of this
Okay.
it has a big, thick, woody stem, and it wasn't really workable. But Dundee in those days was a whaling port. They had a big fleet that went whaling down in the Antarctic and up in the Arctic, unfortunately. But it meant there was a lot of whale oil about. And what Dundonians discovered was that if you mixed whale oil with soap and water, applied this to the jute fibres, it then made it a soft, pliable fibre that you could then spin into yarn and weave into jute fabric.
Right.
And that discovery kick-started the industry, the jute industry worldwide in the 1840s. lasted in Dundee. The last jute mills closed in about the 1970s, so it lasted well over 100 years, the jute industry here.
And what I read is that it then moved back to India, Kolkata.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff went out to India. What they realised was that they could build factories there and spin the yarn there, as opposed to shipping it all the way to Dundee to then ship the finished products back there again, because some of it went back there, some of it went to Africa, some of it went to America, different places like that.
And what did they mainly create with jute? Was it like sacks or?
So a lot of it was things like sacks and tarpaulins, hugely used for sacks for transporting sort of rice, coffee, beans, all those kind of things. But it also had quite a lot of other uses as well in different places. It was used for things like they can make rope out of it. They used it as in Britain, they used it as the backing on carpets and lino to put on the floor. They used it in the walls. They put plaster in the walls, and as a scrim it would stick to the plaster and make it a bit of flexibility there. And there was somebody who spoke to me. He'd been part of building the hospital here in the 1970s, and they used it for lagging all the pipes to protect them. So it's used. It just had a huge amount of different purposes, and I think that's why the industry lasted so long, because of all the different uses for it.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was sacks and tarpaulins to start with, definitely. The industry here was huge. There was about a third of the population of Dundee, about 50,000 people were employed at the height of the jute industry, but it was mostly women and children that worked in the jute industry. It was quite a unique kind of industry because of that. It was cheap labour basically.
Yeah. And is the reason it moved to India also partly due to cheaper labour there?
It will have been cheaper labour there, and also the reduced cost of moving the jute, because to ship it across here, and also
to ship it and then to ship it back. Yeah.
Time as well. By the time you sail it here, I'm guessing time would make a difference. So you would get it quicker to get your product to market, I guess.
And I suppose in the 70s they moved from shipping things to flying things.
I'm sure they would have done. I'm not sure if jute would ever have been flown, but I mean, by the time the last mills here closed in the 1970s, so there was nearly 100 mills in Dundee, and just the last ones closed in the 70s. Even in the late 1800s, early 1900s, some of the production had started moving there. So it was kind of a gradual process. So, it was over the years. At the height of the jute industry here was in the mid to late 1800s. So, absolutely massive in Dundee.
Queen Victoria's era.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And the kind of the demand for it as well. I think wars helped kind of keep the demand. They used to use them for making mattresses for the soldiers to sleep on and things like that as well.
Okay.
So things like that helped the demand for jute, I think. But you'll see much more about that as you're going round.
Okay.
Steam whistle up there above Kieran. And he's just waiting to sound the whistle at 1 o'clock. So in 5 minutes' time, I'm going to blow the steam whistle there, and that was used to tell people the start and the end of their shifts. But also in those days, people didn't have watches and alarm clocks, so it was used as well to say to people, right, your shift's going to start in however long, so you need to be getting up and moving, because people tended to live near the mills because of the lack of transport. So, and all the mills had a kind of different tone of whistle as well. So that they could
and then you would know which one it's from.
Yeah, yours, absolutely. quite interesting kind of concept that. But this one is a really nice kind of tone. So you'll hear that in 5 minutes when Kieran sets it off at 1 o'clock. So George would have been responsible for doing that. When you go in there as well, George will sing and whistle to you, so don't jump when he starts. He talks to you.
Okay, I'll probably jump anyway, knowing
I know.
myself.
I still do. It's just you never kind of get used to it, I don't think. Once you've had a chat with George, go into the works office over there. So that's how it would have looked in the early 1900s. It's the original furniture from there that was in the building when it was taken over. You've got the clerks and the mill manager in the corner behind the partitions, and there's a little double glazed telephone box in there. So the telephone came up here in 1900. So I know, a long time ago. One of the early ones in Dundee, seemingly. Go through the door at the far end of the office, and that takes you through to India, Bangladesh. So it's a process for growing the jute and what processing happened there before they shipped it here. Keep going round, you come to the machine hall with all the jute processing machines. On the right hand side there's a button you press, and it shows a film with how the machines all work and what they did. And there's also handsets there where you can hear the stories of the jute workers.
Yeah, I think I've heard those online.
Okay,
They
possibly.
were saying
but
it's
yeah.
kind of brutal, the working conditions, like no
Absolutely.
breaks, no bathroom breaks.
It was a really hard life. The conditions were very, very noisy. You wouldn't have been able to hear other people speak. Very dusty in the air, just with all the jute fibres and everything. It was hard work. It was really hard work. Yeah, absolutely. You keep going round from there, you come into a section on the uses of jute in the back, and there's a little cinema in there with a 10-minute film about Dundee in the times of Jutopolis. Dundee was called Jutopolis, the jute capital of the world.
Yeah.
And so there's a little film. It's on a continuous loop. So
Okay.
in there, and you come out into the courtyard here. Then you can either go up the stairs there, or there's a lift in the high mill there, just through that door over there. That section's on social history. It's how people used to live and go to school. And then across in the high mill there, there's more jute machinery and an old boat and a steam engine on the ground floor, and then 2 more floors above that as well. So there's plenty to see. Plenty to see.
It's maybe I'll wait for him to.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll hear it when you're in with George. But yeah, it's 2 minutes time. 2 minutes time.
Yeah.
He's keeping a close eye on the time.
Yeah, he's got his watch out.
He's got his pocket watch. Yeah.
I've got to look the part up here.
Yeah, so he's looking. Yeah, you look more like maybe the mill manager than maybe not. Not sure if the mill manager.
That's why I'm just the mill man, you know. I
Yeah.
can apply to all the different categories.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if the mill manager would have worn a flat cap though.
Well, I think I've been promoted. I'm no longer a maintenance officer. I'm a general dog spotter.
Ah, right. Okay, fair enough.
Right, 1 minute.
1 minute.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't hear it everywhere in the mill anymore. This has been classed as a residential area now, because quite a lot of the old mills have been turned into flats and things.
Yeah.
So they had to. There's limits on the noise you're allowed. So the mills, the whistles are not allowed as loud as they used to be. So it would have been much louder before. Here.
You're volunteers, right?
So yeah, I am. Obviously, it's staff there, but yeah, there's sometimes volunteers here who just do a little bit of information. Yeah. So
Yeah, you're a volunteer
I'm
though.
a volunteer. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
He's about to go though.
Yeah,
About to
yeah.
go.